What is up, and welcome to episode 280 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt. If you are new to the show, well, guess what? You're in luck because this is the best episode ever, as we have a very special Valorant segment to get to, and also some CS going-ons that we need to touch on. Lots of rumors flooding around the CSGO world, and so we'll discuss that as well as e-news at the end of the show to get to anything that we didn't touch on during the show. But before we get to that, let me tell you about the show sponsor. We have a lot of CS rumors to get to, Anuj, but you know what's not a rumor? The number one esports apparel company in the world, and that is Alt. U-L-T. Check them out, altesports.com. They have the top-of-the-line apparel. If you're a Call of Duty fan, an Overwatch League fan, you're in luck. They are official providers for those leagues. You can get your favorite teams. Even if you're not their favorite teams, Minnesota Rockers hoodie, I'm contemplating it. I'm not a Minnesota fan, but guess what? Alt is so damn comfortable. I'll wear the enemy. I will wear a team I'm not a fan of just to have an Alt clothing item touch my body. Check them out, altesports.com. This Friday, every Friday on their Instagram, they do a Instagram live where they show you kind of behind the scenes apparel, what's coming out, what's come out, stories behind it, things like that. It's very cool. Check them out. This Friday, Anuj and myself will join Nate and talk a little bit about the 101 Burglars lineup, maybe tease future comings from with TCR, but you can only find that out on their Instagram, so check it out. Ultimate, altesports.com. Let them know the Center Ring sent you.
Hey, this is Typix. You're listening to Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast presented by Alt. The date is October 14th, 2020. The time, 8:45 p.m. Central Time. This is episode 280, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, it's Anuj. What's up?
Tim, I've been thinking about the viewers recently. Listeners, I should say, more than viewers. I wish we had more viewers. Listeners.
Stream every show on Twitch. Check it out.
We do. People need to come check it out. Come join us for the fun here. I know y'all are enjoying it in your drives and all that, but if you can hop in, that'd be awesome. Tim, we need another community night, man.
I agree.
I've enjoyed those so much when we were doing them, and I've been thinking about it the last few days as we've been playing more and more Valorant. I'm like, man, those Valorant community nights where we were running our custom 10-mans and all that was a lot of fun. So we need to put one of those together soon.
Whether it's Valorant, League of Legends, DaZeD. Right before we started the show, Joey messaged me asking how many people do we need to play DaZeD. I think it's only 6 people. It's been a while. I think there's 6 or 8. I think it's only 6. DaZeD is a free game on Steam. Very underrated. Very fun when you're playing with friends. I agree. We need another community night. If not for the listener, but for us.
Both, for sure. It's a win-win.
Here's the trick, folks. Okay, when you're married and you have a kid and you're like, golly, I don't have any time to do what I truly love in life, start a podcast about that topic. And then normally you can get, a little bit more push in your corner. Like, babe, sorry.
You at least have an argument.
Yeah, it's community night. We got listeners we got to play with. Sorry. It's kind of a big thing. Sorry. Number one esports podcast, You know how that goes. So I agree. Let's do a community night. Let us know in Discord or on Twitter what games you want, and we'll go there. Valorant is always number one. DaZeD is good because you don't need a whole lot of people, so we can shuffle people in and out and everything there. So there's that. Speaking of community nights, though, that we need to take advantage of because we are now gamer dads. Maybe as of right now, as I'm saying this, maybe in a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. I asked if I could be on FaceTime to witness it live. I haven't heard back yet, so maybe I'll get a phone call and I'll show it on Twitch. But our friend of the show, Kevin Correa, formerly of ESPN Dallas, host of Free to Play Esports Podcast, at any moment is having his baby.
Man, that's awesome.
So we need to have another community night for him so he can be a part of it. And also, Anuj, I want to, now that we're on an even playing field, I want to issue an official rematch challenge to Kevin and the free-to-play crew to play us again. And you know what? To make it even more even, because now he's got a kid. We had kids before. Really, he should have. We all remember what happened the first time.
It was their last time playing the game.
Literally forced them to uninstall Valorant. And I'm not even exaggerating. We asked Kevin, man, do you guys play Valorant anymore? We could do another 10-man. And he said, my friends uninstalled it after you guys completely pulled their pants down in public and gave them a spanking. Which, I mean, honestly, we did. It was supposed to be a best of 3. It lasted one map, 13 rounds. We 13-0'd them. I think only one of us died once. I mean, it was bad.
It was a tough match.
It was bad. And of course, you know, toxic kids do what toxic kids do and be toxic.
Don't put all of us into this mix. There was only one person on our team of 5 that got called out for being toxic. You don't put that on me, Timothy.
Not me. Not me. Step into the Thunderdome. Expect a little lightning. So I issue an official rematch to Kevin as a congratulations to being a gamer dad. You can now have one free night of gaming away from the wife, away from the kid, because we're issuing you a challenge in League of Legends. This is on your turf. I figured you won't have a whole lot of time to play. I can strike while the iron is cold. It will be TCR crew versus free-to-play crew. How do they do League of Legends?
Summoner's Rift, baby.
But it's not like they don't do best of... Do they do best? I will say...
So we would do what this game... I'll lay the ground rules here.
Yeah.
We're going to do Summoner's Rift, best of 3.
That's not going to take 7 hours?
No, that'll take tops, I would think 3 hours.
Okay. All right.
And that's on the high end.
It's been a while.
Chances are we would 2-0 them or get them to quit after the first game, even in their game. This is a home field game for you, Kevin.
No,
okay?
This really is.
This is consider this our baby present to you, because we're not actually going to buy you something. But,
definitely not.
But this is our present to you. It's going to be a free night of gaming in your home turf with your boys on your court, your ball. Let's do this.
Reinstalled League of Legends today. My account is level 4, maybe 6.
Oh,
so
Lord.
I don't want to get too far
at all.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I literally haven't played a real game of League of Legends probably since beta. Like, I've played some ARAM, I've played some bot matches, but like truly play League of Legends, it's like I said, I got in during the beta and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go play Dota now. And I hadn't touched it since. So
I'll do ARAM with the boys from time to time. I got a pretty decent skin collection in that game, surprisingly. By the way, if you just reinstalled, go link it to your Twitch Prime. This is for anybody that's listening. If you have League of Legends, link it to your Twitch Prime. There is a bunch of skin shards you can go grab right now. Sir.
I haven't played since beta, but I have the skin collection thanks to Twitch of a veteran.
There you go.
Of a veteran. So I have, but between now and the challenge, we don't know what date, right? Obviously, like I said, Kevin's just about to have a kid. So this might not be for a while. Okay?
This might be like a month or so.
We all can't go to the Overwatch League finals 2 weeks after having a baby like me. Okay. And then a month later, go to BlizzCon and Disneyland on Halloween. We all can't get away with that. Luckily, my wife is very cool and or tolerant of me. So that can happen.
Or the drugs were still in the system at that
right.
point.
But so, Kevin, you let us know when it works for you. We'll show up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You want to do it sooner than later. Because I'm studying. I'm reading books. I'm watching YouTube. I'm asking listeners in Discord. I asked today. I was like, hey, how do I buy champions? How do I get more champions? And they're like, you got to pay for them. I was like, well, shit. Okay. I have some shards. So I'm going to read up, see what lane I want to tackle. Sooner or later, you got to do this because you don't want me to become a master, okay? That's it. It's a few rules for me, Anuj. I'm not going to be support, okay? Not going to do it. I won't heal. Do the size of their boobs affect their hitboxes?
They do.
Okay. I need to find a flat-chested character, which is what I've also learned is very difficult in League of Legends. Me Too has not moved to League of Legends yet. Like, looking at the female character design in League of Legends explains all I need to know about the Me Too in the Riot's office. Like, anyone who was surprised about sexual harassment in the Riot's HQ, did you not look at the character design? Like, I can't believe those people were caught up in Me Too movement. Go figure. The guy who gave every female character double Ds and like a size 0 waist.
With a mini skirt.
With a mini skirt. Yeah. Because that makes sense for a ninja. Why not? I get it, though. I get it. So, yeah, there you go, Kevin. TCR versus free-to-play. Rematch the League of Legends challenge. You pick the date. And
we'll be there.
We'll be there. We'll get our crew. It'll be Anuj and I with 3 others. You and whoever. And let's make it happen, Captain. Congratulations on the baby. And have fun. Have fun. Having a kid is I told him today, I texted him. I said, you're going to have a blast. Being a dad is the greatest. But I even told you this, Anuj, before you had yours. It is the best and worst decision you'll ever make. Like,
you're giving up a lot, for sure.
Yeah. I remember prior to ours, Brett, former host of the show, RIP, told me, dude, people are going to tell you you're going to lose your social life. Don't listen to them. You don't lose your social life. It's fine. I quickly learned after having my kid, Brett never had a social life to lose because you definitely give up the random concert or sports going and things like that. But you don't give up the TCR challenge, Kevin. You don't give up the TCR challenge. So hit us up. All right, so there's that. Official challenge has been issued. A friendly reminder to listeners. If you've ever wanted, we always do this with our challenge series. If you want to cast the match, you and a buddy or whoever, if you want to cast the match, let us know, and you can do it. The bar is set so low, you might trip on it. So let us know if you've ever wanted to try casting, practice it, things like that. If you just want to not even cast and practice observing, right? You want to know what observing would be like. Let us know. We always like giving, people that opportunity. Sometimes that might be your career is casting or observing in esports. And, how the hell do you get started? Maybe
if you want to play, hit us up. Let us know. We'll be forming a roster. We're going to do this T1 style. Take our time and get the right group together that can carry Tim and I to the finish line. And so
Anuj and I might even take a step back, not play for a while, do other events, play other games, stream a little bit, and then still hold our roster spots, just like T1. So, seems to work for them. Speaking of T1, Anuj, let's get into some Valorant, as we have a plethora of Valorant things to get to, and then even more CSGO later on in the show. Where do you want to start with Valorant? Like I said, we got a bit to get to here. I'm going to steal the show. I know I asked a question. I'm going to answer that question.
Please do. Yes.
Let's start because we just talked about Act 3. Let's talk.
It's funny, Tim. See.
Right here.
Right here. Right here.
Kevin,
this is why.
Kevin,
you're
fucked.
Say, let's go Act 3.
If we are on sync at all like this in League of Legends, you're done. You're done,
Expect
Kevin.
Tim and I to be in the same lane wherever.
Bottom lane. I learned that today. Bottom lane normally gets 2 people.
Yeah. So. If we have a jungler. If we're good enough to have a jungler, then yes.
Funny enough, when I played Dota, I was the jungler. But I feel like League of Legends people hate it when I make those comparisons because like even in Discord, I'm like, well, does it have this? Dota has that. What about like in Dota? It's like this, and they're always like, no, this isn't Dota. It's different. It's
the
different.
Same, but it's different.
It looks exactly the same, but it's different.
But it's different.
You don't understand. So I got some learning to do, but hey, it's all right. That's why we need hard carry. So let us know. All right. So yes, Act 3 for Valorant just came out the other day. We had a chance to play some. I don't want to tell Riot, Anuj. I don't like coming on this show and telling people in the industry how to do their job. I like to discuss it as a fan and things like that. So I'm not going to do that.
But if you were to do it.
But if I were to do it, Riot, when you release a new map, and not just like, oh, well, you do this every week, so no big deal. No. When you release your 5th map on a game that's only had 4 since Borderline release for months now, people have quit your game because you only have 4 maps. When you finally add that new one, for the love of God, either make a playlist for only that map, or maybe just for a couple days, doesn't have to be forever, you increase the rate of getting that map. Because holy shit, Anuj and Anuj was there long before I was, but it probably took us like 5 games alone, and then you said you had to do it like 6 times. It took almost 11 times.
9 games I queued into before I got Icebox. 9 games. Now, I didn't play 9 games. Like, we had people bail out on 2 of them during the select your character screen.
Can I say
and then we had about 3 or 4.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The unranked community in Valorant is the salt of the earth. Like, just an amazing group of people.
It really was our best experience.
It has been, I can't tell you the last time I played with random people in a competitive shooter, or any game for that matter, that just everyone was on the same page and willing to help each other out by forfeiting after 5 rounds so we could go play the new map. Like, everyone was just like, yeah, man, I'll forfeit for you. No big deal. Like, yeah, I won't pick I'll take a 3-minute ban. No problem. Yeah.
We even asked the guy to take the ban, and he took the ban so we could get out of the game. And I was like, wow, this is like an amazing community, and I didn't even know it. It's like, just they're all in unranked. That's where you got to go.
Is where the not tryhards are. Go figure. It's great. So after 9+ games, we finally got to play the last game of the night with Icebox, the new map in Valorant. First impressions.
Well, so first of all, I do think they did increase the rate, because now I've played the map like 4 or so times. So got it a lot.
They probably saw your tweets.
Yeah, and I think they did. I mean, I did. I tagged him in a 10, of course.
I don't want to pull the trigger. But gotta blast you on socials.
I hit him. Yeah. So first impressions of the map. I'm gonna have 2 kind of similar takes here. I'm okay with the map. Like, I'll kind of say that right now, right? I want to see the pro players play on it to truly see how it's played in that setting. Like, there's only so much you can do in an unranked game, right? You have all different skill levels, so it's not played to its fullest. But there's so much verticality in the map. I'm okay with that. I didn't know if I would be seeing it. What I didn't like, kind of on the same token, is there's like too many corners. And I think they're going to have to block some of them out to kind of make it to where it's not like every like a hallway that you walk into, there's 4 corners you're going to have to check at all times. I think they'll clean that up. They did that with Haven. They did that with Bind. I think we'll see that with Icebox after some of this play testing also. But overall, Tim, I'm okay with the map. The quirkiness of the zip lines to me, I'm okay with because now I'm understanding this is what Valorant is. One map has zip lines, one map has teleporters, another one has ropes, another one has 3 bomb sites. Like they all have a unique thing to them. And who am I to say like why would I tell them, "Hey, you're already really like Counter-Strike. Be more like Counter-Strike. Just copy Counter-Strike maps." Like, okay, well now I'm understanding this is how they're differentiating themselves. This is part of what they want to do. And they said not every map they release will have some like weird kind of quirk to it, but that is their goal, right? Is to
Right.
have some sort of uniqueness to it. So after hearing that and understanding their direction, I was like, yeah, okay, this map might not be too bad. Like I enjoyed my game time on it.
Yeah, so I only got to play it the one time, and although my KD did not represent it, I had a fun time. I do agree. In a game that I already felt like maps had way too many corners to check, there are a lot of areas. Like you turn down a hallway, and Nuge is not exaggerating. You have to look and like you have to have like 6 pairs of eyes to check every corner if you wanted to. Like on B site, of like for whatever reason, there's like almost 2 nooks that they can hide in as you're pushing onto the site. A little too much. But other than that, nothing that I felt like they have to do in a complete map overhaul on to adjust it, right? And like you said, it's very hard to judge a map when you're playing it unranked with a bunch of people that are playing it for the first time as well. Because before we even played the map, a guy was like, "Oh, just wait till you play it. A site sucks." And we thought A site was like the easier site to take. Like after
we had a lot more success on A than we did B, right?
So, everything is taken with a grain of salt at this point just because we're a bunch of pug stompers anyways. I think it will be a very exciting map to see on the pro scene. I do.
Especially with the right comps, like that was part of it, right? We have like 4 freaking duelists on the team, and we're trying to run into a new map with virtually no proper utility to navigate our way around bomb sites, right? I think with the addition of the new character is bringing a flash. The new character is bringing the second.
Almost seems like she was designed specifically to counter this map.
Look, I'm telling you, I really think her design was very much so thought of on this map. Her ability to send out seekers will now follow like where a player is hiding, so that eliminates some of those corner issues. The flash, the way it works and you can navigate it, will eliminate some of those issues. Her freaking fox or whatever that she sends out, right? You can use that now to pre-peek corners. So they're giving this new character a lot of abilities to where I think she becomes like an insta pick on this particular map. And so again, once the pros play it, once the new character is introduced, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a really exciting map to watch because I had fun in the games that I played on it. Yes, not all of them were like amazing games from a team's perspective, but as I was playing it, I was like, yeah, these guys are going to do some, like, I can't wait to see Raze on this map. Somebody that's badass with the Raze movement, using the satchels to get around. Like, there's going to be some cool looking stuff on here.
Yeah, so I think, overall, for your first map in what feels like forever, pleasantly happy with. Other things for Act 3 is you get to choose your server location, so that's always nice. I mean,
that's a really cool feature. I like that.
We live like next door to a server, so we literally have like 8 ping when we get to pick a Dallas server, so I'm not complaining.
Not at all.
Borderline land ping at that point, so that's always nice. And Anuj.
India has entered the arena, Tim.
So
get ready for Spike.gg to update those world rankings.
Oh, I was going to say get ready for a bunch of hackers and cheaters.
Tim, that was one team, Optic. We gave them the curse. That was partially our fault, honestly, to think about it.
It was right when we gave them the curse. It was like Optic, India's cheated.
This is
that experiment failed.
This is cool though. They added a Mumbai server. They added another region as well. And I'm drawing a blank on which one it is at the moment. I was pretty excited to hear that. India's already announced a couple of Valorant teams, so there's like some Indian orgs that have announced teams and all that that's pretty exciting to see. But I love that they are truly going global with this. Again, they laid the foundation with League, and you see that spreading into Valorant, and it's a beautiful thing, man, because you're really going to have an international competition at some point when the world is back to normal.
So I don't understand how 5G or like fiber optics or Google Fiber, any of Wi-Fi, right? Maybe it's Wi-Fi. I don't know, Anuj. How? Maybe you don't know. Maybe it's so over all of our heads. We can never understand this. But how can Riot get servers in India and all over the world, but the CDL can't get more than like 4 servers for the Pro League?
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
Money, dude. They're cheap.
I don't get it.
Riot is focusing, like this has been awesome because they are really focusing on the user experience, right? Think about the community feedback that we get, like that we give and that we get in the patch notes, right? Think about what they give us in the patch notes, like something that we've all asked for. The tick rate, something that they know the community is bitched about. Look at the server locations, Tim, like that's huge. Look at even the skin shop. Like they've added some cool things. Like the battle passes don't suck in this game. I think that's a cool thing to see. Like you can actually get some really nice stuff if you play enough. Like it's all about the user experience, and it's a free to play game. And I think that is why they're going to be successful is they're really trying to give you a good experience playing their game, giving you a reason to come back and play their game. They're just doing it right. Like this is great to see it again global this way. It's funny you mentioned Blizzard. Like, yeah, look at we were complaining about servers for half the season in your inaugural league. Like, do you think Riot would let that happen? In a league-based system when they go franchising, like you think they're gonna let ping be an issue? No, they're gonna figure it out.
And then that's really it then for Act 3. So far, I mean, the new character's not out yet, but so far, map, servers, everything been feeling great. We'll just move on up from the list here. Renegades and Nerd Street has announced a team up for their own invitational this weekend. It's been a while, I felt like, since the Ignition series.
Yeah, like the Ignition series. Like, so we do have the First Weekend, Strike baby series
about to have
coming
some fun.
up. I'm sorry.
Nothing.
We do have the First Strike
R. Kelly
series coming up.
You ruined it.
That'll be through Riot, so that'll be cool. It's unfortunate for this one because right now all the teams but one are announced. We don't have TSM and Sentinels. Look like they're both not going to be in there. T1 is not in there. We'll get to them. You're probably wondering why would they be in there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's still some really good teams, right? You got Cloud9, you got FaZe, Luminosity, Gen G, just looking at it, Icebox, you'll get to see their new lineup for the first time. Rise Nation, obviously, Renegades being in it. So there's still going to be a lot of good competition. And you're right. It does feel like it's been a little while since we've had some like competitive Valorant.
Yeah. I wonder how this works behind closed doors because we see it a lot, especially with new games and players jumping orgs, but then that same org signing a team in the game that they just left a player for, how that works. So Complexity has a Valorant team. Icebox has a Valorant team. Icebox's coach is Warden, who just left Complexity. Or is that a different Warden?
No, it's the same Warden. Yeah, he had to move. It was I think it was personal stuff with his wife. They were moving. Job or
okay.
situation
Well, that
or
makes
something.
sense then.
So yeah, he left Complexity.
I stand
they
corrected.
Let him go, and then he signed on as Icebox's Valorant coach.
Okay, then I stand corrected. Then that does make sense then, because I was wondering why he wouldn't stick with Complexity and just be their head coach. But if there was outside factors involved, then that does make sense. All right. So then let's talk a little bit then about why T1 might not be in this tournament. They did finally, so the T1's been in this gray area. They dropped 2 of their players a little bit ago, and then Sadakist, or Sadicus.
Thinking of the N-word again, Tim.
I'm just always on my mind. Always on my mind. Skadoodle, kind of took a backseat. And so we were always like, well, this is weird. Like, you're not... He took a backseat to work on his hero pool, which doesn't make any sense in a game that has, like, you're realistically, like, learning three agents, right? So that was always kind of up in the air. Almost makes it seem like behind closed doors, they knew that roster wasn't going to be anywhere near the roster they were going to play with. So Skadoodle was like, how about you call me? Okay. I'm a major winner in Counter-Strike, NA's, hopes and dreams. You call me when we're ready to actually play.
And now those two players have been signed, right? Like, I think one of them is on Envy, if I'm not mistaken.
Both are on Envy.
Are they both on Envy? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it was Food and...
Crashies.
Yeah, so now they're both on Envy and everything there. So T1 did end up announcing that they have signed their 4th and 5th player. Their 5th player, I'll get to first. Seiya player, a.k.a. Spider. For those who are familiar, yes, he is the same guy from the Overwatch League with Florida Mayhem. First South Korean player on an NA team or EU roster for Valorant. So I think that's pretty huge. And I honestly... What's funny is I think that says more about him than like the team. The fact that, this whole experiment with Overwatch League and Koreans moving over here to play, like, ooh, is this going to work? Well, this guy liked it so much. He's like, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to...
T1 has a Korean roster for Valorant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this was a shocking signing, not because I don't think he's not good enough. Like, we'll talk about him in just a moment. It's just with the rest of this roster, it seemed out of place a little bit, right? From like where the rest of these guys are coming from, including their 4th signing, who we'll get to in a moment. It just seemed a little unusual. But you want to talk about an aimer. I mean, this guy was one of the best hit scan players in Season 1 Overwatch, including Apex prior to Season 1. He is a Widow god from the highlights and stuff that I've seen of him. Also played McCree once kind of the Widow meta fell up. But once the meta shift happened, he kind of took a backseat on that roster for Season 2 and Season 3. But man, this guy is, he's a legit talent. Like, he really is an aimer. And I think that's what you need with the type of roster they have.
No, I mean, he was even a legit player in the Overwatch League, though. So, like, to see the transition, not completely surprising in that sense.
And look, Tim, we've seen transitions now of Overwatch players doing really well in Valorant. I think that was a little up in the air first just because of how easy the transition was for Counter-Strike players. And then you saw teams like FaZe, kind of do okay in some of their showings. But Sinatra is quite possibly the best player in the world right now in Valorant, right? If not top 5 player, he's up there. He's the best Sova in the world. That's for damn sure. He creates some of the metas, and we've seen Overwatch people be very successful in Valorant so far, and no reason to believe he won't be, continuing on that list.
Well, especially like with the team he's joining. You have Brax, Skadoodle, AZK, and now they announced their 4th signing.
Imagine if they just signed the rest of IBP, Tim. That would just be crazy. Oh,
geez, so funny. Anuj. If I could take a break from the show right now and do a lap around the room before we talk about this next signing T1 did, I would. We talked about it. There was rumors floating around. It was almost expected. Almost a meme at the same time. But they went ahead and signed none other than DaZeD.
That is awesome. Okay. I know where you stand on this, and I'll let you take us into the salt mine in a moment. Okay. Yeah. Like, I know where you are going with this, but let me tell you the other side of the story here. Okay. Tim, this is a story of redemption. This is the comeback story. This is the reuniting that we needed. This is like if we had Shaq and Kobe one more time, just like one more time. This is big. This is like a great signing. Publicity, right? They're going to get invited to every invitational going forward. So, and not that they wouldn't prior to that, but this kind of assures that.
Yeah.
It gives us a hell of a storyline to follow. Now we have to see about DaZeD's commitment and see how bad he really wants it, because we did see a pretty nasty exit there in CSGO after the years and years of fighting for him to come back. But I think DaZeD is a talent, obviously. Like, it's not like he's bad at FPSs. So I'm curious to see where he's at. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm not telling you this is the ultimate signing. This had to happen. But it's a cool story, and I love that. Like, for me as a podcaster, I love that.
So for those who don't know, DaZeD was part of the famous iBuyPower team that was banned for life in CS for throwing matches back in 2015, 2014 at this point? Seems like forever ago. And so now he makes the last one signed in Valorant. Now that entire squad, 4 of them being on T1, Brax, AZK, Skadoodle, and DaZeD, the 5th being Steel on 100 Thieves, for the joke of why they don't just sign everyone, DaZeD and Steel do not get along. So that's part of the reason why. Now, as fun as a story as this is, I can tell you right now, this is not going to work out. It's not going to work out. If I was, from a talent standpoint, absolutely, I would sign DaZeD in a heartbeat. From a personal judgment call, though, I would have a tough time if I was an owner signing this guy. For multitudes of reasons. One, and I haven't seen his stream in a while. Maybe he's calmed down. Used to be toxic as could be, though. Like, to his own teammates. It's one thing if you want to, like, yell and make fun of the other team and stuff, but when you're doing it with your own team, not a good look. Not a good look.
Not helping. Not
helping anything. He's very arrogant, very, hey, I'm kind of the shit here. I'm the best IGL in NA type of attitude.
And he was the ringleader behind the cheating scandal. Okay, like, Brax and them were participants, but DaZeD was the ringleader there.
Yeah. And this is where my beef, though, really gets with DaZeD, is for people who might not remember, before the ban was softly lifted in Counter-Strike, I mean, they had the entire fan base on their side, people within the scene fighting for them, going to Valve and saying, look, maybe we should lighten this up, going to tournament organizers, hey, we got to let these guys play again. Finally, the tournament organizer said, okay, we'll let them play. Valve said, no, we're still not letting them do the major. Long story short, they finally were able to play. DaZeD signs with a team. I forget what even team it was at this point. Was with them for what? 3 weeks? A month?
Of the season, maybe?
Yeah, like, not long at all, and says, never mind. I'm done playing Counter-Strike again. Just kidding. I know I've been saying for years and years that Valve did us dirty and we did nothing wrong and woe is me. Oh, I'm poor DaZeD over here. Woe is me, Anuj. Let me play. Please, everyone go tell Valve to let us play. Pretty please. And then he leaves within like a couple months' time and just says pretty much, hey, thanks for all the support, but suck it. I'm not playing. That, to me, has always rubbed me the wrong way. And it was just like, so what? You were hot shit when you were throwing matches and you got banned. You were the best team at NA. Then you come back and realize you're no longer the best. It was too tough. So what? You backed out? Like, what's the issue here? That you had other teammates. Steel was still playing at a high level in Counter-Strike. AZK, he kind of bounced around into other things. Skadoodle never got banned, but still playing at that high level. Brax was subbing and stuff, but again, I don't think ever really got back into it. It always rubbed me the wrong way, the way DaZeD handled the return to Counter-Strike and then his departure.
No, and that's definitely like an acceptable, like, emotions to have towards this, right? Like, I 100% get that. And now what I'm hoping for Tim, I don't know if I don't know where he's at. I don't know DaZeD. I've never personally spoken to DaZeD, but I'm hoping it was more of like just a lack of interest in going back to CS, because he still couldn't compete at the highest level per se, right? Like, he couldn't go join a top tier team because a top tier team wasn't going to take them. So he kind of had to go through the ringer to get back up to the top level and then still hope for a Valve unban for really anything to happen.
Well, yeah, to do the whole steal bit, right? Get a team to the top 20. Once you're in the top 20, you're thinking major. So, okay, well, now we got to drop steal, right? It's
you got to drop steal or the other players sell off to other teams.
Right.
Right. Ultimately, one of the two happen. And so maybe DaZeD kind of saw that. And again, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. Like, I agree. The way he left, crappy. I hated it. I was upset with him at the time also. But this is an opportunity to join a top tier team at the highest level in a new game that's only going to get bigger. I'm pretty sure he's going into this with a different mindset than his return to CS. His return to CS was like, you had to go back and play at that point if you were DaZeD, right? Like, even if you knew you could never play at the highest level, you had to go back because everybody was pushing and fighting for you for so long. He has been streaming a ton of Valorant. Again, he's a natural gifted gamer in that sense, right? So he's going to be good at like the things that normal people find difficult. Again, most of that coming down to just raw aim and game sense and things of that sort. He is a outspoken IGL for a team which I see as quiet personalities. We've met Ska on several occasions and have still yet to have a conversation with him more than 4 sentences.
Quiet personality for Skadoodle is an understatement.
Very much so. Brack's kind of the same way, right? In the sense that it's just, he's been through so much shit that he is naturally like not very outspoken in that sense. AZK, like he kind of just went off and did his own thing and stayed quiet, for the most part. And now Spider, again, not somebody that's probably going to be in an IGL role. So I think DaZeD fits a need for them. And to have a fragger / IGL, like somebody that's able to do both and hopefully at a high level, could be a really good thing. And so I'm very excited to see where this roster goes. They didn't perform well with that previous lineup, even with Ska there. There's a reason he stepped back. It's because they weren't playing that well. I think this will be a better round 2 for them.
I wonder how many people, like, it was all fun and games that the iBuyPower boys were getting a chance to play again, right? But now that you are 4 out of 5 of them being on the same roster, I wonder how that looks in the public eye. Like, I wonder how many people now look at this roster and say, ooh, now you were kind of really like a friendly team to root for, the fun story, blah, blah, blah. But now that there's 4 of you from the cheating scandal or the throwing scandal, I'm glad you're back. I'm sure, you can play. I just don't want to see you win.
See, I don't think anybody's thinking that because when justice was served, man, like you couldn't do them any more dirty than you did, right? Like if you want to talk about putting the ban hammer down, which, we talked about with this potential MDL scandal that's coming up, the coaching cheating, like they all got slaps on the wrist compared to what these kids got at a time where really no money was involved, right? Like they were doing it for skins because that was going to be more than their paychecks were back then. Like think about that, right? So I think in the public eye, they've served their time. They're free to go do as they please, except go play in Counter-Strike Major still. Like they're still serving time technically, right? Like in the game that they all probably truly love more, they're still technically banned. That's why they have moved to Valorant. And so I think they'll have the rooting interest on their side. Like I truly believe the Counter-Strike fan that is now a Valorant fan that knows the history of this team is pulling for them. And then there's a huge group of people out there that just have no idea. Like that was 5 years ago. Some of these kids were probably 12, 11, 10 years old and didn't know crap about this. And they don't care. Like they just don't. Yeah.
And that's honestly probably the majority of it is you probably have much fewer people who know it and compared to those who don't know anything at all. So like I said, I do think it's a solid roster. I never thought DaZeD didn't have the skill. I just don't. He didn't have the drive.
You don't trust him.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's you can persuade me otherwise, but it's really only going to take action to do that, right? So now that we have a 5-man roster, they'll start getting more invited to events and things like that. First Strike or whatever they're calling it is about to get started. So
Renegades and Nerd Street, if you are listening, you got one invite spot left.
Who are the
these
other
bad
two?
boys
On
in.
Wikipedia, they're still showing 3 invite slots. Now, it could just not be
I was
updated.
looking on VLR.gg, so I don't know who's right. If you have 1 or more invite slots left, invite these boys to the game. Let them get in. Let's see how they do. You don't have TSM or Sentinels to worry about, so this is going to be some good competition kind of across the board for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's pretty much all your updates then for Valorant. NRG made a signing.
Yeah, they signed so T1 sub player that essentially came in during Skadoodle's departure, benching or whatever you want to call it, EEIU. So he is now signed with NRG, giving them, I believe, 4 out of 5 now, if I'm not mistaken, with Som, Daps, and Kohler from Immortals. So I think they have 4 out of 5 plus their coach, and so we're pretty close to seeing them involved also, right? They're one signing away from completing out that roster.
So there you have it. So this weekend you do have the Renegades and Nerd Street Gaming. I cannot talk tonight. That is this weekend. So watch that in between playing the Call of Duty Cold War PC beta. But we'll have finally some action to get to. Hopefully we see some Icebox. I assume it's going to be in the event.
It will be.
Okay.
No,
it
I'm
won't.
sorry.
It will not. Actually, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it'll be in the next big event that EU is doing, and that's like a week and a half or 2 weeks from now.
All right, so not too far away from seeing it in competitive play.
I think when it goes competitive in game is when you'll see it picked up by tournaments. Because right now this is a good testing period. Changes will be made to it, and so couple weeks we'll see.
All right, so keep an eye on that. Now let's get over into our CS going segment, as there are a lot of CS going ons. You have Blast Premier Fall combined. This is it. This is it. We talked about it. It was rumored, but the Blast Premier Fall series is going to combine into one glorious tournament. 2 regions made to one. Nature is healing Anuj. First off, what I tell you? What did I tell you?
Buzzing, Tim.
It. I know we've talked about CS being in kind of like a apparel and whatever. It is in a sad state. But when it takes NA teams to rescue the entire competitive scene, when it takes North American teams to put EU on their shoulders and be like, guys, we got this. Let's fly over to Europe. Let's help out the dying scene a little bit here and make it right again. So that's what's happening. You have, Big is being replaced by Furia, and...
No, Big and Furia are replacing 100 Thieves and Liquid.
Oh, Big is replacing. Are you sure?
Yeah, Big and Furia
makes sense, because 100 Thieves and Liquid. 100 Thieves isn't replacing anyone
over there.
Yeah, okay. And then Liquid is not going over there right away. So they're the one NA team that you thought would be making it. They're taking a step back for now. Before you freak out, I heard that's because some of these teams that are flying over to Europe are then coming back to NA and then back to Europe. So Liquid is like, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to wait it out, and then we'll go to the tail end of the year in one big trip.
I feel like they're making a mistake, honestly, unless you're like truly doing this for health and safety concerns. If that's your, what you're going to go by there, sure, it's hard to tell anybody.
I was going to say, in a time of COVID, it's tough to...
Look, at the end of the day, you have nobody to practice against now. You just lost all your competition for a whole month to scrim against. And so you're going to be scrimming against MDL teams. Maybe the New England Whalers are available for some scrims coming up, or Team 1, I guess you could say. But
they did take Furia.
You are losing your scrimming partners. And I think for a whole month, that's not going to be good for a team that was already, slumping in the sense, right? They haven't been playing great. They haven't been able to beat EG, I should say, more than anything. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I get it. Like, that's, if they're doing it for health and safety concerns, it's hard to tell anybody don't do that. But I do think it's a mistake for them. Like, they should have at least gone over there and boot camped if they didn't want to participate in the event.
This is my take on that. And like you said, if it's for health reasons, then it's like, well, you shut down this argument, right? Because there's no way in today's world you're going to you're not going to shame someone for not, what are you being a little bitch and not fly? Like, what do you mean? You're not going to go in an airport right now? You can't really do that. Let me throw this twist to you though, Anuj. What if a month of no intense practice, just worry about tuning the engine, worry about the insides, right? As a roster, just take a month away from the stress of tournaments and the big time training and things like that. Worry about the little things, get your tuning right as a team, practice like, watching film and things like that, and then beat up on some fluffy NA teams that are still here.
That's all bullshit. That's not going to work. That's not how it works. You got to be competing at the highest level constantly to maintain a certain level of play. And I think you take a month away. You've been sitting at home for 6 months. That's what you should have been doing during this 6 months, is fine tuning, because there has been more time off in the sense of you are not traveling, right? That saves a lot of time. I know there's still been a lot of events,
right?
But a lot of time has been saved. You should have been fine tuning this whole time. You've had Grim, a new addition now for, a couple of months. You should have been fine tuning that whole time. I think taking a month off, while now all your competitors here in NA are going to play against the best competition in the world, that's the better practice. Like, no doubt about it. For EU, they don't care that NA is coming. It's just for the fans, right? Like, these guys are not bringing anything that we're not already getting in an EU tournament, right? We already have badass teams in an EU tournament. This is fun for NA fans to enjoy more than anything, and to give EU just teams to hate on, while they're there, right? And knock
right.
us if we're losing. But yeah, for Liquid, I think it's a terrible move, honestly, just to take it easy for a month before you go out there, because everybody else is going to elevate their game a notch. When you have to play against the best in the world, which is now what these teams are going to be able to do, they have to take their level of intensity up a notch. The constant repetitiveness of playing the same teams can demotivate you to a certain extent. I feel like EG and Liquid, how many times are you going to get excited to see EG, Liquid, and Furia kind of all go head to head at some point? Like, this will kind of, I think, re-energize those teams to play a different level of competition that they haven't been facing here at home. So I truly think it's a mistake for them.
I guess only time will tell. Like I said, I agree with everything that you said. Like, if you want to be the best, you got to practice and play against the best. That's going to be over in Europe. Just as simple as that. That is where CS is at the moment. Current state of CS is that it is very EU heavy.
And you lost your NA teams to practice against. So the ones that you did have are gone. So, like, what's left? Like, what are you going to do now? I mean, it's going to be cool to see, because hopefully they come out, maybe they make some new strats or whatever, like you said, fine tune it internally, and then they put this whole argument to rest by coming out and winning the next event. But I think that's highly unlikely for them.
You did have the IEM Masters New York NA. We are back into the playoff bracket. So pools have wrapped up, or group play has wrapped up. Anuj, we have a historical banger of a playoff coming up. In the quarterfinals, you have Furia versus Team Liquid. Arguably the top two NA teams right there. Okay, then on the other side, you have the New England Whalers versus Team One.
Like, this is one of those things where if you're an event organizer, you're like, let's tweak these rules just a little bit here. Let's get like Furia and Whalers and Liquid and Team One or something, like this is not even the worst part, Tim. It's the upper bracket that you're about to mention that it gets even worse as you go deeper in.
So in the upper bracket, you have EG waiting the likes to play either Furia or Liquid. And on the lower bracket, you're having 100 Thieves, which, by the way, is mentally playing a man down at this
They're
point.
not even an organization anymore.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. Is we've talked about it so much on the show, I forgot that it was actually breaking news to some people. And 100 Thieves has formally announced that they are dropping their CS squad. This is the last event for the org. They are playing. This is pretty much tryouts for whoever wants to sign the remaining guys at this point, because after this event, they are orgless. Which,
again, if you listen to this show, this sounds like we're repeating ourselves because we've said it for about a week and a half to 2 weeks now.
Look, I shouldn't be bitter about it, Anuj. I shouldn't. But it is kind of like when I see people on Twitter and YouTube making videos and acting like, 100 Thieves is leaving Counter-Strike. It's been confirmed. 100 Thieves is leaving Counter-Strike. I want to be like, guys, listen to the #1 esports podcast. It's called The Center Ring. We have talked about this now weeks ago, that we think 100 Thieves would be one of the teams to leave the NA scene in Counter-Strike.
They were our most likely team to leave when we did that little segment a couple of weeks ago. A week and a half ago. Yeah.
So let's pump the brakes here and act like this is breaking news. The #1 esports podcast talked about it weeks ago. Okay? It's just now been confirmed from something that we've already known. And I am still to believe that video of Nadeshot talking about them leaving was also like 5 minutes before shooting that. He also was just told that they had a CS team. Like, as he's walking into the office, they're like, well, hello, Mr. Nadeshot, how's it going? He's like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. What's on the schedule today? And they're like, well, we're announcing that you are no longer having a Counter-Strike team. And he was like, what? Well, I didn't know we had one. Like, what do you mean? So yes, they are officially done after this event. So in the lower bracket, you have 100 Thieves playing possibly New England Whalers or Team One.
Yeah, I mean, the semifinals is going to be the finals in my eyes. I mean, I feel like whoever wins that matchup between EG and the winner of Furia Liquid, comes home with the trophy. It sucks because we were already shorthanded on teams going into this event. For those of you that haven't seen the full bracket, go back and look at group play. I mean, it's
are you trying to tell us Mythic doesn't move your needle?
And not to say that these teams are trash. It's just they're very unknown. They're probably trash, but they're mostly just unknown at this point.
Yeah.
And so it's a cool opportunity for them to get some exposure. So I'm happy about that. It kind of just again shows to quote Tarek here recently, like NACS is dead. Like this tournament opens your eyes to that. Like there was really not they couldn't form it's like they couldn't form a tournament, so they had to go like, hey, let's go to Boston and see if anybody plays CS over. Oh, the Whalers, you guys want to play in this event? All right, cool. Let's go to Brazil and
it's a Mythic. They had to double check this tournament didn't conflict with any of their streaming schedules because they'd all make more money streaming than playing in this tournament.
Team One, you have the Twins. Sure, y'all have been in a lot of events. Why don't y'all join us too, or something? It's just a hodgepodge of teams, and then for the brackets to get split up this way really sucks. But again, at least we have a EG versus Furia Liquid. One of those two teams in the semifinals should be fun to watch, and then you would expect the winner there to take it all. But look, if a team like Whalers or Team One or 100 Thieves as a going out party, take this, that would be exciting too, but it would be a little bit of an embarrassment to the scene.
We also discussed it a little bit last episode with the rankings and Astralis being, I think at the time, out of top 5. I forget what they were last.
Like 8, 9, or 10 or something.
Yeah, there was something like that. And, we were kind of poking fun at the Players Association rankings and things like that, but we said, look, after this, it will level out, right? FaZe and G2 was kind of that big discussion. Well, HLTV did drop their new rankings here, and we did just want to bring them up, even though we don't talk about the rankings too often. But for this one, I did feel like we're getting back to normal, right? The rankings look a little bit more like what you're used to seeing with Astralis being #1 again in the world. They set a record, I think, for the longest time. Astralis wasn't #1. So they were like, oh, got to get back there. They're back to number 1. Heroic, Navi, Vitality, and Evil Geniuses, top 5, rounding that off.
Looks a lot more pre-COVID like.
Yes.
Right, Heroic being the exception.
Right.
But it looks a lot more pre-COVID like. You got, OG sitting at 8, FaZe at 9. It's starting to kind of, the top 10 is shaping itself, and we're starting to truly get the teams that, if Tim and I were creating a ranking, most of these teams are the teams we're going to have sitting in the top 10 pre-COVID.
Yeah. How about FaZe, though? You mentioned FaZe number 9. You buried the lead there. From winning IEM EU, or I'm sorry, New York EU.
Yeah.
That's a confusing sentence. 8. They jumped up 8 spots in the rankings. Because, last week we were talking about Nico possibly going to G2. And, man, does that really make sense? Like, is that really a step up? Or is that possibly a step down? Maybe a lateral move? Well, G2 is now back at 11. We said there was going to be some adjustment there. Sure enough, they leapfrog G2 in the rankings, by more than a spot. And now we're right back to where kind of what you would expect to see. FaZe is higher up, G2's dropping. Fnatic, I think, is still the one that's weird.
They flipped up 5 spots, so they go to number 8, and you can kind of see what making a grand finals and a huge event does for you. But yeah, FaZe going up 8 spots, that is a ridiculous number of spots to jump in 1 week. So yeah,
also
like I said,
shows though how close these
out,
teams are. That also goes to your point last episode when you were saying how you really feel like any teams in like the top, I think you said like 15, kind of stand a chance at winning a major just by winning one event. Hell, by getting second place in one event, OG was able to jump 5 spots. Like, that tells you how close these teams are in points for the world ranking on HLTV.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I still feel that way looking at the rankings right now. I'm like, yeah, top 15, obviously outside of 100 Thieves, who's not going to be in Oregon anymore, so maybe slide Nip up a spot there. But yeah, I mean, any of these teams on any given day could take a tournament win, could take a big tournament win. And so it's nice that we're seeing the rankings line back up as we're about to see some crossplay between NA and EU, right? Like,
yeah,
that this is going to be good. Like, we're going to get a little bit of a better idea, I think, going into the rankings after that type of an event to really match up. What have you been working on? How does that fare against what we've been doing? And so NA is, look, the constant butt of jokes. Just NA has always been that way. Obviously, we got that major. It gave us about a year of leeway, but we're kind of back into the same position, if not worse, than we were 2 or 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I could tell you a lot of the upcoming talent coming from NA, where now it's like, oh shit, we're kind of nosediving, right? Like, we're in a free fall right now. We're starting to look a little League of Legends-ish on the NA side over here.
We're just very thin is what it is, right? It used to be where at least you had maybe like 6 teams, 7 teams to point at. Now you're really looking at 3, maybe 4, and some of those might even be Brazilian teams that we're technically counting as NA just for the sake of making us feel better. But at the end of the day, it's really just Liquid and EG. I mean,
like, I think on, like,
can we still say Complexity
Europe, they see all of us as NA. But in NA, we see the separation between us and SA, right? Like, there's not a lot of rooting. Furia fans are not rooting for Liquid in their next event.
No.
Like, that's not how that works.
Although they did have Taco for a little bit, so maybe. Speaking of a roster that I don't know where it's going, I don't know if you call it NA, and I don't know if you call it EU. I'm going to call it NA because these colors don't run. But that's Cloud9's roster. As now we have rumors flying around that their 5th player might be S-Tag. You might be saying, but Tim, he's on Astralis. Well, just keep in mind, Zipnix just came back, and S-Tag had that taste. He had the taste of being on that starting lineup line, and he's like, 6-man roster? 7-man? What's that? I'm going to go be on a starting roster now. Thanks, guys, for pumping my tires up enough to where Cloud9 can see me. So now that's the rumor floating around. Seems from what I can tell, everyone's saying reliable sources. So I think it's finally time that we can at least discuss this up-and-coming Cloud9 roster, or as I like to call, the Henry G experiment. I will go first. If I'm just looking at the names, Anuj, if I'm being completely honest with myself as a Cloud9 fanboy, I'm not like jumping over the moon. I think they're better than what they were, but I don't know if it's what I was expecting. I guess that's really what it is. It's not what I was expecting. All this hype, and this is what I've been talking about in weeks past. This is the Henry G effect, where signing Woxic and Floppy again, and, you know, Alex, which is a good player, but I've never thought to be like roster changing, right?
Alex, I looked the other way on versus what you're saying. Alex, I looked at as a roster changer, like a game changer in that sense, because you very rarely get a top tier IGL available that can frag out and is like proven in the sense, you know, what he did on Vitality, they haven't been the same since he left, right? And they, according to most people, have the best, if not one of the best players in the world.
So I think that to me is what hits me, right? Is he can be a game changer if around the right pieces, right? This is moving, I don't know, insert professional athlete that was really good on one team and then went to the other and wasn't as good, right? And I'm not saying Alex is bad. Like, I'm taking Alex over anyone that's been on Cloud9 for the last year and a half, right? But what I'm saying is I think this is somewhat the Henry G effect, where you're hearing from a lot of people that are personal friends with Henry G and just love him, which rightfully so. He's a good dude. And they're just like, oh my God, this is the best signing. This was the best free agent pickup. Cloud9 this roster is just going to be so good, and I can't wait to see what happens. And I'm like, am I just that, what's the word? Hurt as a Cloud9 fan? Am I that just guarded? I don't want to get hurt again. That I'm like, this looks like a good roster. I don't know if it's the roster.
I 100% agree with that. Like I said, I think they started on a high with the Alex announcement. And then since then, every signing, you start to you can pick at it a little bit, right? I don't think anybody could have said anything about the Alex signing. I honestly don't. He could have had his pick of almost any team that he wanted to go to. Like, I really, truly believe that with him. Outside of Astralis and a couple other teams, like, he really could have gone anywhere. So I thought that was like coming out with a bang. But you're right. Every signing since then has got me like, I'm not underwhelmed with the names that they've selected, but it's like, okay, I kind of want to wait and see what this project shapes up to be, right? Woxic, we've seen two sides of Woxic. We've seen the star opper, guy that can carry a team on multiple maps. You know, on Mouse, he was at times great. And then we saw the Woxic towards the end of their run with Mouse, where it seemed like he was slipping and falling off a little bit, right? So what player are you going to get there? Mezzi, I don't know a damn thing about. I know he's highly touted. He's from the UK, but that scene has notoriously been shit in Counter-Strike. Like, you want to make fun of NA? Like, if you were, I made fun of this guy on Twitter the other day because he posted something mocking NACS, and I clicked on his profile and he lived in UK. I was like, bro, don't count yourself as EU. Okay, that is not fair that you get.
You UK people love to throw yourself in EU Counter-Strike. You're not part of that poke group. Fun at NA Counter-Strike. No,
you're
sir.
on an island for a reason.
No,
okay?
sir. I love our UK listeners. I love you. But no, I'm with you. I always love when I hear UK people be like, oh, NA Counter-Strike, huh? Can't beat us
that's
EU
like me
people?
Saying, oh, yeah, SK and Luminosity, those are our championships too. No, there's a reason we said Cloud9 was the first NA major winner. So
you guys are just about as out of EU as Brexit, all right? Like, it is. No, I don't want to hear that.
No, so for Messi, I have like a very much so a wait and see mentality because he hasn't done it on the big stage before. He hasn't played for a big team before. He's an up and coming talent. It could take time to develop, or he could be a hit out of the gate. But it's definitely a wait and see. I was more excited for Messi than not necessarily like that. I don't like Floppy as a player. Floppy is a good player. There's a reason they wanted to sign him. But I wanted to see a whole fresh start, and kind of see where they went with it. But Floppy is a good addition, and he'll do fine on that team. He'll be a good role player. They didn't have to pay him top money to come. I think that's a big part of it. Also, it's not like you could see the money is also tailed off from signing to signing, right? It's like considerably gone down, and so Floppy is probably a good bargain deal, and you can get him in where you want him, and then round it out with S-Tag, Tim. And S-Tag, excites me to a certain extent. He was obviously good filling in for Astralis. They thought he was good enough to play on that team, and that's the number 1 team in the world. Not good enough to start anymore once the roster came back together. But, he had a good outing recently. His numbers were inflated a little bit by his 40 bomb that he had on Train in his last series with them. But, again, he carried them on that map. He was very capable in EU, and so no reason to think that he won't be a good player here. But this is a hodgepodge of players at the end of the day. They're a mixed group that I never would have kind of fit into this group, this team together. And so I gotta wait and see before I pass judgment on what Henry G has put together here, and how hyped we should be as NA fans, although it's an EU roster now. You got to just wait and see.
Yeah, like I said, and that's kind of where I'm at. I am patiently waiting to see them finally get invited to tournaments. If this is true, I would have to imagine that turnaround to get them to start playing is pretty quick. Not only from hey, we finally have our guys standpoint, but let's be real, the 5 guys that are playing now, if they know that they're officially replaced at this point, they're not really playing for the org, right? So if anyone wants this roster flipped over, it should be Cloud9 as fast as possible. Like, let's get our guys in there so we can finally start competing to the team that we think. And, the only example that we have for a roster being built like this in the past was Complexity. And they seem to be doing pretty damn good. So
competing in EU.
In EU, right. And like I said, as a Cloud9 fan, I'm a Cloud9 fan first. They'll always be NA to me, even if they play in EU. But I am looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm a little caught up in the Henry G hype train, but I'm also like a realist and know, like, okay, it's all of your best buddies that are saying that this is the best signing since, whatever, right? So I'm
Babe Ruth to the Yankees.
Yeah, like it's just they're acting like it's Gretzky traded to LA all over again, and I'm just kind of like, okay, let's pump the brakes here and just see.
Yeah. Not saying it's bad. You really just got to wait and see.
Yeah. It's just, and that's even if S-Tag goes there. This could be completely different if he ends up not going, right?
It'd be a good signing. Like, I would be excited for him to get an opportunity to be a full-time starter. And, we know we can contribute at a high level. It's just the randomness of this team makes me really curious to see how they all shape and fit together.
So there you have it. There's some CS going ons for you. NA New York IEM, that will wrap up this weekend. So you have a busy weekend. You have Valorant tournament, the Renegades, Nerd Street. You have IEM New York NA, and you also have the Cold War beta, so which we will be on. So if you're hitting that up, let us know. Let's get into some e-news while we wrap things up. As far as the Flashpoint Season 2 qualifiers, you have Virtus, Pro, and Forza both end up qualifying. It will be nice to see Virtus Pro.
I agree.
It will be nice to see them again. Although
that brand needs to stay relevant in CS.
Of course. It's like Fnatic, right? When Fnatic was bad and they weren't there, it just felt wrong.
Weird.
Yeah, felt weird. Virtus Pro needs to be in CS. I 100% agree, even though I was looking at them the other day, and I don't know why. but I was watching a match. Maybe it was for Flashpoint. I don't know. I guess it had to have been. It does seem like you're watching like a fake Virtus Pro, doesn't it? Because they've been out for so long. Like the last time you really saw Virtus Pro was still with the Polish roster, and then they just went down so fast. You never really saw them disappear. They were just gone.
They went from more of like a snow plow to a shovel.
Yeah.
You know, like the Virtus plow is not really like it. That's not what this team is. But the brand being there is probably good for Flashpoint too, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, let's be
it's
real.
great.
Like it's good to have them in there.
It's great. The rumors flying around in Overwatch is that the league has proposed, and now these aren't all the details, but proposed a new setup for next season, Anuj. Very similar to how we were talking about, is to keep the regions, Asia and NA, move New York and London back over stateside, and then you would move contender teams up from the Korean, Asian contender leagues, and then they can play to fill the gaps in the Asian side. I assume they would become official Overwatch League teams. That's where the details kind of ended. Don't know if they're getting in at the same price tag or if they're just using it as placeholders and they know it. I don't know. But that to me is still more exciting than what it was this year.
So I'm rebranding the Center Ring to a consulting services firm, Tim. And I think we're going to have to start charging to listen to the podcast, because we've been giving out some juicy advice that I feel like is all of a sudden going into play. And I think this would be great for Overwatch. All jokes aside, like I think this would be this would be the way to go regional play, create a little bit more of a story throughout the season, because that's one thing that has lacked, and then a little bit more build up, you know, going into playoffs and doing it more of a world style setup. So I would like this move if they were able to pull it off and make this happen.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Looking forward to it. And I also think it's good to have New York back, right? Because although New York is from last I saw, 100% Korean roster still, that is a very big fan base that you're losing out on viewership when their matches are, you know, at the ass crack of dawn or late morning and things like that. You want New York back stateside. You want that New York viewership for your primetime matches, not your match at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's also very important.
And look, if you're adding teams from the Asia region, it's probably easier to do, right? Like,
well, yeah,
probably
there's
more
still
involvement in player base and like just
and it's the step up
in that sense.
Historically in Overwatch, the step up from a Korean contenders team to the big league is much smaller than if you were an NA or EU contender team trying to step up. Yep. Like hell, last season, as in season 2, Vancouver was an entire contenders team the season before, and they got to the finals. So that's much more realistic in that sense. In Call of Duty news, LA Gorillas signed their squad. They now official roster is Assault, Silly, Apathy, and Vivid.
A little bit of a better lineup, I think, than last time.
On paper, a much better lineup than last time.
Yeah.
And they did sign Academy. They are pending league approval. But, you know, we've always talked about it where I do think Academy teams are a smart thing to have. I think it's good to have that scrim. They're essentially a scrim team for the big league is what it is.
And look, this is not like a lackluster scrim team. This is a team that has Cheen, who was playing in the big leagues last year, Exceed, who's well known in the scene, and then look, they're the ones that landed Mental, and this is a legend, you know, coming from Gears of War. I mean, this is the guy that won all the majors. He is global in Counter-Strike. He's Radiant and Valorant. Like, he's a gamer, dude, and so. I'm excited to see their academy team almost as much as I am their pro team, because I want to see how Mental plays.
Mental, the one Gears of War pro without the Gears of War haircut.
And he doesn't like have that same Gears of War personality. Like, I watched him on the Hex podcast. He's not like a yeller in your face like some of his teammates were.
No, I always loved back in the day. when MLG had multiple games to it, Halo, Gears of War, Rainbow. Back when I was a semi-professional in Rainbow Six, Vegas 1 and 2, Anuj, you could see a Gears of War player from across the hotel and know, oh, you play Gears.
You could hear a Gears of War player from back across the hotel.
They all were the same. In other COD news, you have the Halloween Warzone map. I believe that's there now with the vampire stuff and whatnot, right?
No, but it's like a zombie mode. Like after you die, you turn into a zombie, and you can find a vial on the map that you can like. It's an zombie vial that turns you back into a human, and you respawn. And so, nighttime map, like kind of cool.
They got fun with it. All right, so that'll be just a small little 90 gig update, I'm sure. And the COD beta, it is this weekend. So I know for at least PC, it might also be on console. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, because I don't...
It's Xbox and PC.
I don't give a fuck anymore now that it's on PC. Console betas are dead to me. But, yes, it starts tomorrow. If you have the game pre-ordered, it starts tomorrow, Thursday. And then Friday and then Saturday is open for anyone. If you are playing it, hit us up. We will be on it pretty much anytime we can this weekend, because... like I said, I liked it a lot when we played it on PlayStation. I didn't even bother playing it the last time. I want to play with PC. So hit us up. We will definitely be playing it for sure this weekend. And in other FPS news, Envy Halo. Was this? No, I guess it wasn't. We announced the teaser last week.
We teased.
The teaser was the last time. Now they announced the roster. All right. So Envy did announce their Halo roster. No, Shotzi is not on it, but you do have APG, a longtime pro since 2006. You have a legend. I got your Pistola, aka Pistola, on the roster. We are definitely going to try to get him on the show for sure. You have Saiyan and Trippy. Again, another I think he's one of the younger ones in the Halo scene, but still, for all rights and purposes, I guess I say young for me in the Halo scene. He's been around though. A really good roster signing though by Envy for an org that's been out of Halo now for like 2 or 3 years. Very impressive to come back. And like I said, I think that's going to be
an 3 teams signed, and all of them look badass so far.
Like a legit signing, which is why you get in early.
Right? You know why? Because now Envy is going to be in the semifinals or finals of every event starting off.
Yes. So at least more bang for your buck. You know, you're going to have to sign a team early? Sure. Will they be on your payroll for a little bit? Not playing? Sure. But guess what? You're going to get invited to the early tournaments and everything there. So, doesn't hurt. I did see Clayster's tweet, though, joking about how he's always wanted to move to Halo. Like, he's always wanted to be a professional Halo player. It could happen.
Get one more ring. Well, I say get one more ring. I wish you were on our hometown team, but play one more year COD. Call it a day. You've put in your time. Go try out Halo. That would be badass. That would be badass for the Halo scene.
Yeah.
To have Clayster go sign with the team over there.
He's been grinding it right now, like on Twitch and everything. He's been streaming Halo all week. So he's the Halo bug has gotten to Clayster for now. In other news, you do have the best crossover in the history of crossovers. Smite has added Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's like, it's cool, but it's stupid. You know what I'm saying?
All right. If Fortnite can add every character in Marvel then some.
Fortnite is that type of game, you know? Like Smite has
done other work, though. They've done Avatar. They did Avatar. They've done other things like crossovers.
It just seems like out of place, but it is cool. Like I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan, as you know, and like it's neat. It just seems weird to me, but sure, like it'll be cool.
That's how you get an S tier esport. In Abu Dhabi's waterfront destination, Al Khana, to add a dedicated esports and gaming hub this year. So you can expect all of Blast Pro's events to be held here in the future.
Easy.
I did laugh at there was a comment on Reddit where it was like, people just think just the whole, the whole blood money and things like that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, bro. That's what happens when you get rich princes who like esports, but also like their executions on the side. Just build a waterfront esports right across the street from where you're keeping, like, the hostages, and you're good. You're good. So, whatever.
Make the hostages workers over there.
Yeah, whatever.
Even better.
Yep. And for all you WoW nerds, the Shadowlands pre-patch is out today. It dropped, I think it was today, maybe yesterday. Yesterday. So get in and get your pre-patch questing in. You can now design new characters or new features on your characters. The undead finally don't look like shit.
All you can do is the barbershop stuff. The quests are not even out. It's like they released this just to say, hey, we're giving you something. But all you can go do is see your character who's now level 50, who has lost all of his corruption, who has lost all of his Azerite power, but you can go to the barbershop. And so that's pretty much all you can do at the moment. The event really hasn't kicked off yet, but the pre-patch is out. You get a little taste of it, watch the new intro video and stuff like that. So hopefully more fun stuff to come in coming weeks.
If they were smart, when pre-patch drops, they would give everyone like a free 48 hours playtime. Let me get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still constantly subbed a WoW.
I mean, maybe that's why they don't, because they know, it's like you guys are gonna pay anyways.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there you have it. There is everything you need to know for eNews. Thank you so much for listening. That just about does it for episode 280 of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast presented by Alt. Again, this Friday on Alt's Instagram, Anuj, myself, and Nate from Alt will be live talking about the 101 Burglars lineup and just shooting the breeze. So check us out there. They'll have a discount code too, so you can get anything on Alt's website as well. So that's, again, Alt's Instagram. Check it out. Join us in Discord. Our Twitter, @TheCenterRing, has the link in the description there. We will be back, Sunday night for Monday's show, with Yikes of the Week. We already have some Yikes locked and loaded, so you know it's a good week when you already have Yikes by Wednesday night. Our monthly AMAs are coming up. It's never too early to get in questions, so hit us up on Twitter or Discord. Ask us anything that's going to happen in 2 weeks' time. I already have some good questions lined up, so definitely appreciate it, but keep them coming. But that's it. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.